Hi you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the block, and I'm here with another weekly video and tip on creating an indoor space that truly supports your health and wellness. This week we are going to be talking about each and every decade of a house. Obviously we're going to group them together because we can't go through every single decade individually, but we're going to talk about the big toxins that are in homes that are very old, homes that are a little newer, homes that are more modern, energy efficient homes, the man-made home. We're going to go through all of it this week so that you know what you need to focus on in your own home based on the age. This is also a really great tool if you're going to be house hunting because it'll give you an idea of what you really need to be aware of before you buy. So as always, I have some slides for you that go through this week's blog post in more of an educational, quick format, and we're going to go through those now. So one size fits all solutions for homes really just is not a thing. It's the reason why so often getting someone else's eyes on your own home is the best case scenario when you're trying to correct a problem or change things in a positive direction. Old homes and new homes will have some of the same overlapping toxins present, but they will also have their own toxins that came with the era that they were built in. So as a certified home inspector in Minnesota, I have had the pleasure of inspecting everything from brand new builds to 1880 farmhouses, and creating a healthy home environment in different style homes and homes that were built in different decades is a task that has to be curated to that specific house. So just like the reason for a doctor's visit is for them to look at you and tailor fit a plan for your health and wellness, just as our bodies are all unique and different, so are the homes that we live in. Based on your home's age, I am going to share with you the specific toxins you can reduce, as well as the exact concerns you need to be aware of due to when your home was built. It's another marker, if you will, that will inform you of the health and wellness of your space. But I also want you to remember that no home is completely toxin-free, and all homes will have some level of unhealthy materials or components. And the truth of the matter is, that is okay to some extent, as long as you're aware of the problem and do your best to mitigate toxins where you have control over them. Your home will be healthier than most, guaranteed. So let's dive right in. There are going to be a group of toxins that overlap with each era of home. It's based on our lifestyles, and some problems have just never been eradicated over time. So whether you're in an old home or a new home, some toxins will just be problematic and you have to address them as they come up. The first is VOCs, volatile organic compounds. They're everywhere. They're naturally present in nature and outdoors beside being inside of our homes. The difference is our homes don't allow these VOCs to escape once they've been off-gassed into the air. So without a place to go, VOCs build up to an unhealthy level, which in turn affects our bodies in a multitude of ways. VOCs have been linked to liver damage, kidney damage, nerve damage, neurological effects, as well as have been labeled as carcinogenic. So VOC exposure is inevitable, but there are ways we can really reduce exposure. And in this week's blog post, I have linked you to a more in-depth post that's all about reducing VOCs in your home. The next toxin that seems to be in a lot of homes, varying from age to age, is the potential for mold and mildew growth due to a variety of factors. So the biggest contributor, though, is likely our habits and our inability to keep our homes dry. So mold is actually a dangerous toxin that should not be taken lightly. Any area of mold in our home has the potential to cause allergic response, infection, and dangerous mycotoxin exposure. So be on the lookout for mold in your own home and be very diligent about keeping indoor humidity levels as low as possible. CO2, or carbon monoxide, is another toxin that we see in any home from any era. All homes that use natural gas have the potential for toxic carbon monoxide inside their homes. It is what we call a silent killer, as it is odorless, and we often have no idea of its presence inside of our home. Carbon monoxide has been shown to have negative effects when exposure at low but constant levels happens. Keeping the carbon monoxide detectors on each level of your home, and especially outside of sleeping areas, is extremely important. Any gas appliance like a stove, a fireplace, furnace, water heater, dryer, etc., has the potential for backdrafting carbon monoxide into your home. And finally, radon. While some professionals will tell you that it's the old homes that have higher radon levels, this really just is not the case. Radon can be present at high levels in new homes as well, even if they have an indoor air exchanger. The difference in some new homes is that they actually have passive radon mitigation systems installed that reduce levels of high radon inside. But even if your home is extremely sealed, you can actually pull radon inside from floor drains and minuscule cracks due to negative air pressure in your home. So all homes really should be tested for radon, in my opinion, and that's my opinion as a radon testing professional and a home inspector. Radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer in non-smokers, and it can be extremely damaging to those living or spending large amounts of time in the lowest level of their home. So first we're going to talk about old homes. This is kind of a range between 1880s and 1930s. Asbestos is one of the big ones. It is present in flooring, ceiling tiles, popcorn ceilings, and even some drywall. Asbestos is a cancer-causing material and has been linked to lung cancer and abdominal cancer, as well as mesothelioma. So generally, asbestos becomes the greatest health hazard when it's disturbed. This will allow the particles to enter the air and make their way into dust and particles around the house. When inhaled, there can be serious health implications, and so it's definitely a toxin to be aware of in your home. Lead was widely used in paint and pipes in older homes. If you're buying an old home built before 1978, there is potential that you have some lead paint in the home. Now, lead paint undisturbed and free of chips is not a huge concern. Once it starts to chip, the dust can become an issue with members of the home inhaling the particles. Lead exposure is a problem in terms of health, especially in children, where it can build up to poisoning levels and affect their learning and their behavior. Old homes are kind of a unique type of home to care for. And I actually linked you to a blog post that I wrote all about old houses that is linked in this week's blog post. So the next grouping of homes is kind of the 1940s to 1970s. Obviously, lead and asbestos are likely an overlapping toxin in this era of home as well, and so you'll also want to keep an eye on those. But there are some new toxins we're going to talk about. So PCB electrical insulation is polychlorinated bisphenol, and it's a toxin that was used before 1979 in electrical wiring, the electrical wiring insulation, as well as fluorescent light ballasts. So it's an odorless chemical that has an adverse effect on the immune system, hormone production, nervous system, and reproductive system. An electrician will be able to identify and check the condition of the PCB line or insulated wiring in your older home for you. If they detect rotting wire insulation, you'll want to have it replaced in your home as soon as possible. PVC toxins are a man-made material. It's usually in vinyl flooring, plastic components. These things began showing up in homes in this era. PVC toxins became a health concern in this era as well. So carpet backing, flooring, any sort of vinyl being added to the home most likely contains PVC toxins, which is a polyvinyl chloride. Polyvinyl chloride is a big health concern, especially for kids when it comes to flooring, because most children actually spend more time in close proximity to the floor. These PVC toxins have been shown to disrupt natural development of children and have been linked to childhood obesity. PVC toxins are a hormone disrupting toxin, and they can ultimately increase the risk of cancer. And then finally, formaldehyde. It's kind of somewhere in the middle of this era of old homes. Toxic plywood began being used, and wood veneer became increasingly popular, thus the term the man-made home. Unfortunately, any glue that was used in this period most definitely contained formaldehyde and an array of VOCs. These toxins off-gas forever and are likely very present in cabinets, plywood subfloor, and laminated countertops. So as we move along, we're going to look at the energy efficient home. PVC and formaldehyde are still going to be overlapping toxins in this era of home as well. But the first thing that we want to look at is flame retardants being used in carpeting, drywall, and other building materials throughout the home that have been showing up in dust particles around the homes. Flame retardants in our environments have been linked to thyroid issues, infertility, and learning disorders. Many of our newer products are naturally flame resistant and don't require as many chemicals added to our building materials to make them flame retardant like the ones used in the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s. Carpeting contains some of the worst toxins that we bring into our home, unfortunately, and this is the case for several reasons. Not only does carpet contain toxins like phthalates, flame retardants, VOCs, and formaldehyde, but the surface area is so vast in our home that the toxins end up being everywhere. And carpet has the tendency to create a lot of dust that will contain these toxins, meaning it's everywhere in our homes, including our air. We're also going to look at formaldehyde. Again, it's a VOC that is a known carcinogen and disrupts the endocrine system's regulation of our hormones. Formaldehyde is found in everything from carpet to building adhesives to pressed wood around our home, and it was very prevalent in this era of home building. And then finally, sulfide gases. So this is a unique problem to homes built in the early 2000s. Imported drywall during this time has been found to emit sulfide gases that can cause an odor within the home. These sulfide gases will eventually corrode copper within the home. This would mean water pipes, HVAC units, gas lines, and electrical components. The biggest telltale sign is the odor present that just won't go away in your home. But you can also check to see if copper is severely corroded around your home to detect if you have any sulfide gases. And then the new home. So again, formaldehyde and PVC toxins are also likely very present in this era of home as well. But there's also phthalates, sometimes referred to as plasticizers, and it's a grouping of chemicals that are exposed to almost everybody constantly. Homes that have many plastic and vinyl components are the homes that contain high levels of this toxin. Phthalates show up in our blinds, our wallpaper, our plastic water pipes for drinking, and our vinyl flooring. Phthalate exposure has been linked to abnormal reproduction development as well as neurological toxicity in kids and adults. Some phthalates are also known endocrine disruptors, meaning they hinder our natural hormone production and can in turn cause issues with thyroids, immune systems, and the reproductive process. Iso is another toxin that we find in spray foam insulation. It makes the home very energy efficient, but spray foam insulation typically includes this toxin in addition to flame retardants to make it safer for our homes. If spray foam is not properly applied in the home, there could be an increased exposure to these chemicals after the home is completely finished. Iso are an endocrine disruptor and have been linked to an increased risk of cancer. MDI is the mixture of toxins that includes ingredients such as benzene, chlorine compounds, and formaldehyde, and again, it is found in spray foam insulation. The interesting and scary part of this toxin group is that it has been shown to lead to the development of chemical sensitivities in the future. So it's basically a catalyst for things like asthma, allergies, and becoming sensitive to other chemicals. So one of the most dangerous things about new homes is their inability to bring in fresh air and exchange toxic air inside. The idea of an air exchanger is supposed to help with this issue, and many new homes have these systems. However, It is up to the homeowner, or you, to use them and keep the filters clear so that they don't actually have the opposite effect on the indoor air. An energy efficient home is great for cost and sustainability. However, you have to consider that these homes are also causing issues by keeping toxins inside where they build up to unhealthy levels. So toxins at home, whether a new home or an old home, are going to be unavoidable. That being said, there's no use worrying or stressing about these toxins. It's better to be aware of their presence and then take some actionable steps to reduce the levels of toxins around your home. Even some small changes or swaps can have a huge impact on your space and your health. So sometimes these toxins are easy to remediate. Sometimes they're toxins that you just have to deal with and try to mitigate as best you can with your habits. Either way, you can make your home a low toxin space with the tips that I had in this week's blog post. You can click the link at the bottom of the video description to get to this week's post. Otherwise, I will be back next week with another healthy house tip on creating an indoor space that truly supports your health and wellness.